Heck, I think. I don't know. And check out that cool keyframe, right? I totally had the, I had the thingy going. I just pressed a button. I hope it didn't break the stream or anything. Am I still streaming? What is going on, Bob? Seriously, seriously. For everybody just coming in, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. This evening we're going to be doing space planes. I called it Space Planes 102. We've done a space plane stream before, and we covered some of the basic concepts. I'm going to be hitting some of those basic concepts again, but I'm also going to be covering some new things. We're going to build new planes. I've got the XL wing here. I think maybe we're going to try to set up an actual X-wing space plane. I do not know. I'm always new. I have good meds. Welcome, retired Army. For anybody that's new to Kerbal Space Academy, what we do is we make everything up as we go. I don't have any sort of script or anything. I don't have bullet points. I do have like a note card, but this doesn't have anything interesting written on it. It's basically reminders of emails I'm supposed to send to people. I don't have a script. I don't really have anything that I go by. I just make it up as I go. And the intent of the entire session here is that I am here live. I'm going to be talking about a specific topic tonight. It's space planes. I'm going to be going over things concerning space planes, like how to balance it, how to build it, the parts that you need, how to take it off, how to get it in orbit, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to go over all sorts of stuff like that. But because I'm live, you're going to be able to ask me questions, because the entire point of this is that you should be able to do some of the same things that I'm doing. I'm not trying to show off. I'm not trying to be like, hey, check me out, I can totally do a barrel roll or whatever, or I can build the largest space plane, or I'm the most hardcore KSP player. All those things, that's not what I'm about. I'm here to cover a concept and answer questions for you. A lot of people are kind of intimidated by Kerbal Space Program. It has a little bit of a learning curve, a little bit more than headshotting people and that sort of stuff. But I don't want people to be intimidated by it. I'm here to answer questions. A lot of the stuff that you may think is really difficult is actually pretty darned easy. And if you hang out in the Academy sessions, if you ask some questions, if I cover something too fast, if I don't explain it well enough, if you have kind of a follow-up question to something I'm talking about or something like that, even if you just have something out of the blue that has nothing to do with it, put it in the chat and ask me. I don't bite. I mean, I'm on the other end of a computer monitor, so there's not really anything I could do to you. Last I checked, I don't have, like, an electroshock remote sensor installed in your chair. I can't do anything to you, really. So don't be afraid to ask me questions. If I make fun of you, at least it'll be funny and we'll all laugh about it. But last thing, there's a couple different ways to get my attention during the stream. My name is Das Valdez. If you say Das, D-A-S in the chat, it will highlight it in red on my screen. That makes me look at it. I might not look at it right away. I might not answer it right away. I may be crashing a plane or something like that. But if you want to get my attention with a question or something like that, put Das, D-A-S in the chat. Put a space, put your question. It'll highlight in red. I'll look at it. You can also put question. If you type the word question, like I have a question or question colon or something like that, that'll also highlight it for me. That really just helps me. I mean, a lot of chat scrolls by. I'm doing things over here. I'm running my mouth. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. I got a lot of things going on, and the highlighting really helps me catch the things in chat that are all in the questions. So, without further ado, you've crashed it. You've mastered crashing. You know something, retired Army? Crashing is really just a delayed crash. Wait, that doesn't even make any sense. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyways, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. It's not red, red just sticks out. So let me see if I missed anything in the chat. By the way, when I'm looking this way, it means that I'm reading the chat. When I'm looking this way, it means that I'm playing the game. When I'm looking this way, it means that I want to see your pearly eyes, but I can't because I have a little howl-looking computer monitor, computer camera thing. So let's see here. Did I miss any questions? It doesn't really look like it. Your RA came over for a safety inspection? What? I didn't even know what that means. Usually it was like other sorts of inspections. Good meds, endings. Hey, mister. What's up, Earther and Slim? We're just about getting started with Kerbal Space Academy. I just did the intro, the explanation, the ask me questions, the don't be scared to learn some stuff. This plane is just about running out of thrust here. Oh no! That's not good. Whatever shall I do? We're not even going that fast yet. You know something, what we're going to do? We're going to do a sweet flip. We're going to cut the engines. Don't space plane this way. Let's go on back and let's start working on space planes, y'all. So, like I said, don't hesitate to ask me questions if I don't cover something that's important. You may know about more about space planes than I do. Feel free to type it into chat. I'll mute you if you're a complete know-it-all and you're totally annoying about it. But I appreciate people helping me out. If somebody asks a question in chat and you know the answer, feel free to answer it. It's all good. The entire concept here is learning some KSP. And it doesn't matter if I do it by running my mouse. It doesn't matter if you do it by watching me. Or it doesn't matter if somebody else helps you do it by answering some questions in chat. Let's make a new space plane and stop talking about all this stuff. AWASI. Should I download KSP if I have a crappy computer? It depends. It depends on why it's crappy. Is it a really crappy processor, in which case you may not be able to run KSP very quickly? If it's just that you have a crappy graphics card, you could turn the graphics way down, as long as you can do the physics calculations. It's actually on sale. Is it still on sale? It's still maybe on sale. I don't know. It may be on sale in the Humble Bundle for 16 bucks if you wanted to give it a try. Dude! Also, K9 Officer. I totally did a flip, by the way, Lignoma. K9 Officer, welcome, dude. I'm glad you could make it this evening. This isn't one of your working evenings. We're doing space planes. I need to stop running my mouth. I need to start making a space plane, or else everybody's going to leave and go watch Shimmy. We're going to have to get that scheduling figured out. So, anyways, space planes. Just like any rocket, you need some way to control your space plane. You know something? Have we ever made a Kerbal space plane? Why don't we make a Kerbal space plane to start? Should I do that? Kerbal space plane? That doesn't sound too exciting. Is it exciting? I don't know. You always need some way to control your pod. That could be a probe core. That could be a cockpit. That could be a command chair. Everybody knows that. This is Space Planes 102. We're just going to assume that you know that you need a pod. I'll start building around this. I don't know how that's going to go. We'll have to see. Let's see here. We've got some sort of control. The other thing we need is a plane. A important part of the word space plane is the plane part, as it turns out. Trust me, I'm streaming about it. So I'm going to start off by making a plane. And a plane has a couple different parts. It has the jet fuel engine, as we all know. Or sorry, the jet fuel. It gets its oxidizer from the air, so we're going to need some air intakes. I'll get to that. And it needs an engine. I'll just go ahead and toss this little... we already used that last time. Let's toss this engine on there. Excellent. So we also need some intakes. Let's build some intakes. What could I do? Let's make another more different plane than we did last time. Aerodynamics. Where are those bodies that also carry some fuel? Actually, instead of that, why don't we just put this here? Will that work? I think that'll work. It's got an air intake. Does it also have fuel? It's got 40 units of fuel. That ain't very much fuel. I tell you what. Let's go with it for now. So we have two components to the engine. We have the liquid fuel, which is carried in a small quantity in this engine nacelle here. And we've got oxidizer, which is also going to be harvested by this. It can also come in from air intakes, which look like this. And you're going to need to have some air intakes on your space plane, as we all know. Okay, that looks terrible. Whatever. So we've got some propulsion. We've got thrust, which is one of our components of flight, right? Another component of flight we have is gravity, which is going to pull us down. We have to counteract gravity by having some lift. We do lift with wings. What sort of interesting wings can I do here? I wonder, could I just start off? Could I start off with it? I actually don't know. Will it work? I took those intakes off. I don't really want to start with that. Those are wings. Those are ugly wings, though. Structural wings, lift rating of 1. Could we just make a little plane that looks like this? Super simple plane, like a little dart sort of plane. Let's start with this and let's see how it goes. And again, I'm just slapping things together. So we've got some lift now. A tail might be nice. There's a tail fin. That is one of the larger tail fins I've ever been involved with. Jeez. I wonder if we could get by just using this for a tail fin. Let's find out. Look at that. Actually, kind of got a little Imperial shuttle thing going on, honestly. Not too shabby. A little bit small. That's totally a tail fin. We're going to need some control surfaces. Everybody knows about control surfaces. Again, if I'm blowing through these concepts a little bit fast, I'm calling this one Space Planes 102. We did Space Planes 101 last time. I'm basically just tossing together a quick space plane as a review of what we talked about last time. If you missed me and you want me to go into some more detail on some of these concepts, definitely you can ask some questions now. I will only have limited time to spend on it, but definitely join us for one of these Space Plane 101, kind of the intro to Space Plane Kerbal Space Academy, where I talk about some of this stuff in more depth. This looks a little bit interesting, but I don't know. We'll see how it flies. Let's see here. So yeah, all right. Soul Wager's good to go. We can't just go down the runway this way. In fact, I don't know how this is even going to work. AWazzy13, welcome to the Academy. Thanks for the follow. We are going to put some gears on it. We can't just roll down the runway. That looks dumb. We're not going to do that. Let's go with some gear action. Some sweet, sweet gear on gear action. No. Let's do it like that. There we go. That's that. And then let's do... That was a text message. Usually when I get text messages, it means something's broken while I'm streaming, because I do have people watching out for me. Oh, nope, nothing's broken. Just my brother. Nobody needs to talk to him. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and do this number. Do that number. A little bit of that action. Put that thing on there. That plane looks terrible, honestly. It honestly looks terrible. Let me turn this around and see if that makes any difference. But you know something? I don't even know if it's going to fly. Let's take it out and see if it's going to fly. Did I forget anything? I wonder if there's some things that I forgot. Anybody in the chat checks me? Let's see here. Any questions about this wacky little space plane I've totally tossed together? Again, this plane may or may not work. I don't know. I didn't look at any of the things. I just tossed it together. We're going to take it out to the runway and see if it works. And then we're going to come back here. We're going to learn how to fix the things that don't work. So a couple questions. Welcome, Logan. Space planes. Yes, Miss Coot, what's going on? Also, question. Does the positioning of the control surface matter? Will it do better or worse based on its position on the wing? I don't think... I forgot the space. I did, but we're working on the plane right now. Let's go see if we can't keep this thing aerodynamically sound. Let's see here. So, the orientation of the control surface does matter. For example, these are actually elevons, I guess, because we don't have ailerons. We don't have a tail particularly with this delta dart design. But these will be able to control pitch and roll, but they won't control yaw because they are horizontal, right? This one going up and down, it won't control... It would actually control roll, honestly, but it won't control pitch, given the surface. I'm trying to deflect air in the up or down direction to do my pitch. If my control surface is like this and it's going back and forth, it's not going to affect the pitch very much. So yes, in terms of will the control surface handle pitch, yaw, or roll, it matters how you put it. You can also... You've seen us how we do it in the past, where we may put two of those things on there, and notice since those are at an angle, they could also do a little bit of pitch, kind of half pitch and half roll, and half yaw. Those could kind of do everything. But it does matter how you put it on there. In terms of where it is, like, side to side, right? So does it matter if I put these things further out on the edge or closer in? I've never really tested that. I think that the amount of distance that this would be, since that's not a very big difference in distance, that's not going to make that big of a deal. Like the difference between over here and over here isn't that big of a deal. However, if I had a super huge plane where the wingspan was like way the heck out to the side like this, and I put my control surfaces on the very tip, it may induce some more forces on the end of the wing, which would bend it. You may need more stretch. You may need more connection, something like that. So I hope that answered your question. SoulWager has it right. If they're closer to the center, they'll have less leverage. I think that this wouldn't be too terribly big of a difference, but if you had it way out on the ends of some large wing, they would have more leverage, like he was saying. So what else? Did I miss any other questions? Yes, I definitely forgot some things. We know that. I want this to crash. Shh, don't tell anybody. And we did forget. We forgot the Dr. Pepper. I didn't forget the Dr. Pepper. We didn't forget the part of the space part. We're going to come back to the space part. So, let's see if this puppy flies. We don't have things like power generation. I think that engine has an alternator, doesn't it? Yes, it does have an alternator, so we won't worry about that. I fully expect this thing to totally crash. Let's go, will I fly? Launch. Let's see how this little teeny tiny test space plane does. Plane. It's not space yet. It's plane. And again, I am going through some of the basic plane concepts pretty quickly. I want to spend the majority of the episode on the more advanced plane. This plane looks ridiculous. I should have tilted the... I totally should have tilted the wings down a little bit. We'll play with that when we get back. Monitor, I'm telling you, girly, you keep turning off on me. Running Windows 8.1. No, I'm not. Ooh, air intake. You're right. I didn't put the air intakes back on. But we do have a little bit of air intake from this engine nacelle. So let's see how that works. Let's go ahead and throttle that puppy up. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's turn it on. Panel lock. That intake air is certainly dropping like a rock. We have almost no intake air from that engine nacelle. We're definitely going fast enough. I don't have much lift. That's why I'm not taking off. But apparently, I can totally take off in this little wacky plane. Huh. Well, I'll be... Look at Jeb. I've never seen Jeb like that before. He's like totally up in the camera. What the heck? Look at this thing fly. It's actually flying nice and level. Can we do a barrel roll? We can totally do barrel rolls out the wazoo. That's... Oops. Wait. What is it doing? Why is it shaking all of a sudden? I'm confused as to what's just happened. Plane, please don't shake. Am I time accelerating or something? Do I have some sort of weird phantom force? What is going on with this plane all of a sudden? Let's try a physics warp. Nope. Alright, so maybe not the most stable plane in the world. Apparently when I went through that roll, it... Will cutting the engine fix it? It's not happy for some reason. I'm actually just going to call that a physics bug or something. I have SAS on. There we go. We stabilized. So let's go ahead and freaking turn it back up. Torque fighting winglets. That may be the case. The torque fighting the winglets. And then if I turn the SAS off, it would have stopped jiggling. Let's see if we can induce it again and fix the problem. So I was doing a totally sweet barrel roll like that. Jeb was having fun. IVA view maybe? That looks like an awesome barrel roll. I'm not going to lie. Alright, and there we go. Okay, and then somebody said let's turn the SAS off. Well done. Apparently what we had was some sort of phantom force, one thing fighting another. Now we turned SAS back on, and maybe it's above a certain speed that happens. Nope, there we go. Anyways, nobody really cares about that. That's not what we're talking about. He turned on the radio. You generally shouldn't barrel roll out the wazoo. Dude, I can totally do that. Anyways, let's see what we can do here. I'm not going to try to land this thing. This plane is actually flying a lot more stably than I thought. I think it may be a bear to land. And we do have that. Look at that. We've got some air effects there. We're coming into the KSC at 350 meters per second. I wonder if I just kill the engine right now. Let's just kill the engine right now and see if this thing will land. That is completely annoying, by the way. We are definitely going to have to fix that. Whatever the phantom... Turn off the engine gimbal, you think that'll fix it? It seems like it's above a certain speed. Above a certain speed, something starts to fight. And below that speed, we work just fine. I'm not sure I'm going to even be able to glide into the runway. I'm not really trying too hard. This thing wasn't supposed to fly, but here we go. Kerbal Space Academy. Out of the gate, the little plane works. Your plane is unnecessarily big. It totally needs a Dr. Pepper fuel tank, which we are going to get set up. I was talking with Ya about that. The fuel tank looks freaking awesome. Not gonna lie. Y'all think I'm gonna glide this thing all the way in? Can I get that far? Nope. That thing says we're not gonna make it, but you can't trust the orbits. Let's see here. I'm nosed up a little bit too far. And we're just spending some time gliding back down. Let me see if it's not good for the wazoo. Is there anything else I've missed in chat? I turned off the radio, turned off the engine gimbal. Let's try that. Let's crash this thing right quick, because I'm just trying to go in for a glide. And honestly, I think we'll go with this as a basic design for the space plane. But I'm going to go back to the hangar, and we're going to see if physics warp. Excellent. All right. No, stay on target. All right, there we go. Look at this thing gliding in. Not sure I'm going to have enough velocity left for the flare at the end, but I think I'm not going to miss the end of the runway there. So let's see. I'm gliding in just fine. I wish there was a glide slope on the runway, but you could never really do it. We're not exactly coming into the runway straight, but, you know, whatever. Who cares? Yeah, let's see if I can't last minute do it. And all we did was turn the engine off. This plane, what this is telling me, is that this plane that we have designed has ample lift for its mass. The fact that we were able to glide like... No sudden moves. The fact that we were able to glide all the way back, I just killed the engine. That means that these two wings and the control surfaces were giving us ample lift. So, that was pretty cool. we got the spaceplane back to the runway. Let us go ahead and recover it and get on back to the hangar. It's a quirk of the pig controller. Get around it by enabling. Yeah, it was something fighting, I think. The gimbal is bad for small planes. There was something, I will totally buy that was something fighting against something else. That wasn't what I wanted to focus on, though. So what's going on? What's up, Mad Monster Gaming? We are making some space planes. We apparently just made a plane. I didn't think it was going to fly. I just slapped it together and didn't look at anything. But apparently it flew just fine. Let's see if we can figure out why it flew. So we all know that rockets have a center of mass. So do planes. There's the center of mass. That engine is super heavy and these other parts are super light, so it's kind of near the back of it there. It also has a center of lift. There's the center of lift. So we were a little bit off on our plane, but I bet you what happened. Nope, burning the fuel didn't do it. So we were pretty lucky. We just had so much lift that this plane really wasn't giving us any trouble. When you design the plane, like we talked about last time in Intro to Space Planes, you want to try and set it up so that your center of lift is just behind your center of mass. Just like that, taking into account the fact that the center of mass may move as your fuel is used. So because that wasn't very much fuel and we just had that engine nacelle in there, it wasn't really that big of a deal, but we were close enough. I've already gone over some of the other concepts. Last time in Space Planes 101, we did something like this where we had the center of lift well in front of it, and that plane constantly wanted to do front flip, or actually backflips. It wanted to go like this and do backflips. It was pretty uncontrollable. And we did one where the center of lift was way at the back, and that plane, of course, did the opposite. It wanted to do nosedives the entire time. This plane did not have that trouble. However, I'm not quite sure we have enough information on this plane for it to go to space. What I wanted to talk about a little bit more was lift. And I think what we've just illustrated was that this plane had enough lift such that when I cut the engines off and I had enough altitude, it had enough lift that it was able to glide back successfully. A lot of problems that people have when they're starting to build space planes is they make them too heavy. They're like, oh man, I don't know, check out this shuttle cockpit, right? Dude, that's totally sweet. I'm going to make a space plane that looks a little bit like that. And then they toss, I don't know, like a red tank on it, and they're like, maybe mainsails. I need a mainsail to go to space, right? And you can't get those parts to space with two little wingly dinglies like this. You've actually got to have a lot more lift than that. We're going to forge ahead with this guy, and we're going to get him to space. We're going to turn back around, and we're going to make a bigger space plane. And we are going to, when we work on that one, talk about how we can get enough lift on the thing. I also want to see if there's any way that we can figure out how much lift we need. Let us see. You feel cheated out of a crash. Sorry. Jeez, I didn't mean for the plane to fly. What can I say? Let's go ahead and make this guy a little bit bigger. And I'm going to give him a little bit more fuel. Where is some more fuel? Let's use that thing. Why don't we use this bigger tank like this? Let's put this on here. That's good. Let's put these wings on. Remember, we wanted the center lift to be just behind the center of mass. That's good. Then we'll do something about that. We may need to make more wings. We'll totally see. There that thing goes again. Somebody. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Jeez. I'm busy here, people. Totally trying to do Kerbal Space Academy. Let's do this. I actually wanted to set this guy up as kind of like the little Imperial sort of deal. So we'll put that there. I think they kind of came down like that, didn't they? I've got two of them on there. I'm going to need some lift in the back. I don't have... We're just going to... Can I put this like this? That's dirty. That looks terrible. So here's one thing when you're placing the parts. You saw how I put these on at a bit of an angle. If you're placing the parts and you run into something where it's hard to get them straight, you can always put them straight again, and then these things will go straight. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it because that sticks out a lot further than I anticipated. But anyways, that's on straight, and then I can go put it at an angle, and you can see how it stays straight, right? As opposed to before where it did not do that. Let us see. Scumander just admitted he's used a mainsail on a space plane to get off the ground because he lacked landing gear. Researched the mainsail before landing gear? Well, I'll be darned. Let me grab this. Let me put one of those things on there, and let me see what that is. Actually, that's... Is that kind of... Well, except for the sideways hairdo we have going on there. That's honestly kind of Imperial Shuttle-esque, isn't it? I mean, it's not an exact replica. I'm not going to lie. And apparently these things don't put out very much lift, because look at where our center of lift is. The lift is all about these front delta wings and nothing about these. What else could I do? What else could I do? Our 10 SRBs. Yes, we'll just put some SRBs on there. That is always an option. That is definitely clipped through there as well. How can I move the center of lift back? Well, I could always cheat and put more parts in the back. I don't really feel like any of these... Does that stick out far enough? I mean, it's really darn close. Maybe we could try that. Let's take these structural components off. And let's put these on here and see how this makes the center of lift. That's 2 of those. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but let's see how she does. That actually doesn't look terrible, but it's not really giving me the effect that I wanted to go for. Any other ideas? Any other ideas over here as to what we could do beyond the... Not exactly. That's what we just put on there, right? That's not going to stick off as far either. That's a tail fin. Is that longer, maybe? Let's see how that looks. So what I'm doing is I'm just slapping different parts on here. You see right now that center of lift is way too far to the front. This center of lift, I'm trying to get it closer to the back. Those things apparently don't have as much lift. Where are they at? They were called what? Were they these? These? Tail fins. So that thing had a lift rating of 0.3 and a mass of 0.02, while the wings in front, where are they at? Structural wing, there we go. That had a lift rating of 1. And that's why the lift is being generated by these. And putting these on there isn't really impacting us very much. Whereas if I got one of these, that would almost completely balance it out if we did it that way. But that's not really what I'm looking for either. I wonder, let's see here. Does Kerbal let you do canards? Yes, we do have some canards we could totally toss onto the front of that thing. That, honestly, isn't too terrible. I don't hate that. I find it interesting that that doesn't generate any lift in the rear of the plane. Can anyone explain that for me? But let's see here. Let's get rid of that. Those things apparently not generating lift when attached on the side like that. So look at that. That's actually interesting. If I take this piece and I attach it to there, look how it affects the center of lift. It moves it around like crazy. However, when I take the same piece and I attach it there instead, it does nothing to the center of lift. Can anyone explain why that happens? That is unexpected. I've actually never noticed that that's the case. So while cosmetically that may be looking very good, that's not actually giving us any lift in the back. Why is that the case? I wonder if I turned it. Nope, the orientation, there we go. Really? So these things only generate lift against the front of it. It does not generate lift if you put them on like that. It only generates lift when you put it on the front like this. Look at that. So, if you're putting together a space plane, why would you expect the trailing? Because it's Kerbal Space Program and you wouldn't expect things like that to be modeled? That's why. I know, and I'm not in far, I'm not near anything like that. I've totally figured they would just generate lift back there because, you know, stock aerodynamics. But apparently, it doesn't work that way, which I'm surprised to learn. So, we've got that on there. We've got this on here. Let's see if there are some other things. That looks kind of cool. I wish that it was actually put in. There's our center of lift towards the back a little bit. We could move the wings around a little bit like that. Not bad. And how is our center of lift going to work as we... Alright, so we're not really moving too terribly far. We'll be a little bit less stable. And what we can do, we can actually put the center of lift a little bit further to the back like that. So that as we use the fuel out of that tank, let me do that number. As we use the fuel out of that tank, it will actually generate. Yeah, I totally didn't expect KSP to do the trailing edges like that. You know, it's KSP. That just moves it down a little bit. That's okay. I wonder how this plane will fly. I'm curious as to how this plane will fly. So let's just go with it. Let's put that on there. So see what I've done there? Now I've got the center of lift below the center of mass. That may make us want to fly upside down. I'm not sure. That's why we do these things. And again, when I do these streams, I haven't practiced this in advance. It's not like I did this plane 20 times before I came on the stream here. As you may have noticed, because I just totally did something that I didn't expect to work the way that it did. Let's see how this thing flies. Although I really wish that we could fill in the rest of this. Is there anything we could do, any part we could use to fill in the rest of this, just for cosmetic purposes? Let's find out. But look at that. It doesn't model this the same way, right? So this tail segment generates, let's see here. The tail segment generates the same lift regardless of the orientation of it. It's only certain parts, I guess, that generate different lift based on the orientation of the part. That is actually something that I've never noticed before. Man, that kind of fills it in at least. That's fine. We'll put one up here, and we'll just totally screw with it. Again, I am just playing around. And I'm glad y'all are here while I'm playing around. So that is actually not too terrible. That's a little dart sort of thing. Control surfaces, a tri-fighter, yes. Once you get physics simulation, you might get some effect. That's interesting. I wonder if there's some way we can test that. Let's continue on here and let's put some control surfaces in. And to see, now the thing is, that's not exactly 3x symmetry, right? It's not equal. What would that be? Not 180, but times 3 would be what? Look at that change the lift. I think we're totally confusing Kerbal Space Program. Look at that. Adding these two little control surfaces to the back should not affect the lift like that. That is actually a little bit interesting. That moved it forward some. Huh. It is just modeling us in all sorts of weird ways. Now the center of lift is way too far to the back. So again, had lift forward and back as well. It didn't when placed sideways. Oh, was that true? Midskool? All right. Good call there, Midskool. You would fill it with the little engines. Yeah, that's definitely what we're doing. Your front landing gear a little bit lower so that it... why would we want to do that, Snuggly Squid? I'm totally in, like, that mode. Let me put these down a little bit more of an angle. Like that. That will give us less lift. And then we'll go fix the landing gear as well. This looks a little bit less, I think, like an Imperial shuttle, quite honestly, with that severe of an angle. But then again, didn't that thing fold up its wings or something? I totally saw those movies. Let's see here. It would be really cool if I could kind of tuck the landing gear in. Yeah, that looks kind of cool, actually. I like it. They are tilted a little bit. Remember, from Space Planes 101, you don't want your landing gear to be tilted in or out. You don't want... Basically, camber would be the car term. That definitely has some inward camber. Let me see if I can't... I may not be able to get it exact. That looks pretty good, actually. What I do when I do that, like I said in 101, I look at the lines, these hangar doors in the back. I try to line up the side of the gear with those hangar doors and see if it's pretty close. So that's actually pretty cool. We're going to have a terrible angle of attack with the gear that low, though. In fact, I want to bring the gear up even more. Like that. We also have... I really wish... That's actually not bad. And then somebody said we needed to put this down some, right? So let's go with that. XX. There we go. Turn it around like that. So that plane looks pretty weird, and it's got a really low center of lift, which I don't know if I like. Let's see here, because it's angle and delta wing and lift forward. All right, yeah, Mitsuku caught that. All right. So let's see here. We have this. I don't even know if this thing's going to fly or be stable because that center of lift is so slow. So low, actually. What could we do? Could we totally fake out? Look, we'll put canards on the top. What could we put up here that would give it some lift but not really these wings? Nope. Incorrect. That's a structure wing. That's the little winglets. It's liking intakes. Oh, you're right. You are correct. Let's see here. I'm actually interested in trying to fly it this way just to see how it works with the center of lift so low. And then if we need to, we'll come back and fix it. You also said that I didn't have any space in the space plane. It looks like a chicken from the side. I don't know if I'm seeing chicken. Chicken? I don't know, maybe. Kind of. Like a really hardcore chicken or something. I don't know. Oh, with those in there, maybe if you look at those in there, yeah. This could be the space chicken? I don't know. It's going to be really difficult to land because look at how close in. I really would want a wider wheelbase, but whatever. If we rip those wings off, they weren't important anyways. Let's toss the control surfaces back on and see if that's going to totally hose our center of lift. It does completely hose our center of lift. There's only 6 directions, and you never get the right one first try. We'll put some of these things on here. We'll also put one of these things up here. Just one of them, thank you. Did I get that right? Yes, I did. And I can turn on snap. Wow, that center of lift is way off. I am really not feeling good about where that center of lift is. But let's fly it anyway and see what happens, because that's kind of how we roll. Let's see here. What else did I miss? I missed some intakes. Somebody said let's put some intakes on here. I wonder if there's a cool way to do intakes. Let us toss these things on. Not the best intakes to use, by the way, but we will go with it for this episode. Let's just put them near the back and go with 2x symmetry. Trying to kind of split the difference between our wings. Is that what we did? Wow, those look hideous. But whatever. Applied directly to the engine, apparently. There you go. Did I get that kind of straight at least? Good enough. So now we have some air intakes. Again, if it doesn't work, we come back and fix it. That's the entire point of science and Kerbal Space Academy. I'm not trying to build it for upper forward canard. Okay, that is actually not a bad idea. Could we put 3 canards in the front? Let's see here. That will change our center of lift. Is there anything I could do to... that almost brings it too far forward. Kind of ruins the Imperial shuttle effect, I think. Which, here, yes. The canard coming straight out of the, yes, the cockpit. That looks great, doesn't it? You think it will exit the runway before leaving the ground? I don't disagree, but let's see. Let's take those off. Let's just see if it flies this way, and if it actually gets airborne, then we'll come back and we'll put the space on the space plane. Let's continue with the Will I Fly series here. Again, we're totally just playing around. More wings higher on the fuselage. Yeah, I know, but we were trying to go for the Imperial shuttle sort of deal. Ugh. Let's see. I have no clue. Oh, look at that. That's a terrible thing. You don't want to have a downward angle. Remember from Spaceplanes 101, Intro to Spaceplanes, we don't want to be nose down on the runway. We want an up angle of attack on the runway. So let's see. Somebody said that they thought it was going to go to the end of the runway and never take off. I think that that person may very well be correct. That was Soul Wager, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Let's see if we can get this thing to take off. Yes, the control surfaces, they do nothing. More lift, maybe? Come on. Watch, it's going to use the thing at the end of the runway. This is basically just a ground speedster. And we have a couple problems. Oh, but that worked. Once we got airborne, that definitely worked. It's just that the plane is wanting to nose down. So we needed more angle of attack on the runway itself. Let's see how it flies. Is it controllable at all? I think the only reason I'm getting any sort of control authority is because of the engine gimbaling. And it does not like turning at the same time. And see how that... Alright, watch this. Watch on the nav ball. Again, this is Spaceplanes 102, so we are glazing over a couple of the more basic concepts. But watch what happens. I nose it up. If we had a lot of lift, that would not go back down like that. So as I pointed up there, it wouldn't want to nose back down like that and kind of feather into that. This plane is not exactly generating as much lift as we would want it to. It also doesn't quite have the thrust that it needs. I think it would be okay with this amount of thrust. But let's see what's going on here. Did I miss anything out? Soul Wager was definitely right. The lift looks terrible for a small craft. It is terrible for a small craft. That's why whenever we try to change our angle of attack there, change our heading, or actually our pitch, it just wants to go back and lawn dart straight into the trajectory it's already in. And that's bad because when I try to point it somewhere, I don't want it to point somewhere else. I want it to try and bring its trajectory into where it is, not vice versa. So this craft is not particularly serving us very well, is it? It can totally do some sweet barrel rolls, apparently. It's built for barrel rolling, being trilaterally symmetric. But look at that, when we did that, we started to go back down again. And let's just go ahead and take it up. Disable pod torque and engine gimbal. Let's see what that does. Disable the pod torque. There's the engine gimbal. Let's disable the pod torque and see if we can control it at all. Alright. Same sort of effect, although it continues to lose. See how that keeps going down? I think that may be increasing. Yeah, look at that. It can't even nose up once we don't have the pod torque and stuff. So this craft not the best designed. I think we need more lift. I do not think, look at this, I'm giving it full S. I'm trying to nose it up the entire way, and I can't. It continues to nose down. So this, let me toggle the torque back on. That's going to let us rotate up. And then the engine gimbal, free the gimbal, that's going to let us do the same thing. So it was really only the pod torque and the engine gimbal that were doing anything about letting us move up in the air. Aileron rolls. Anyways, this thing right here, not the best space plane ever. Let's go back, revert flight to the space plane hangar. Let's do a better job. So a couple things are working against us here, right? We're trying to build a cool looking space plane with these down-angled wings, but that definitely decreases the amount of lift that these wings will be able to produce, right? We also have all this junk up here. We don't need this much junk on top. Really, this plane looks kind of cool, but it's built for cosmetics. It's not built to actually go to space. So let's fix that. Let's take that part off the top. Let's take that part off. Let's, we'll redo, wow, take the entire plane off of itself, apparently. That's how bad it is. I just want to take the plane off of itself. Now it doesn't want to reconnect to itself, which is a little bit lame. Come on, baby. You know we can totally build this again. That's so annoying, though, isn't it? Up. Not gonna happen, apparently. Goodbye. Alright, let's see here. Send it to the scrap heap. That's what I just did when I accidentally grabbed the plane. So we're going to start with the... Oh, it's there it was. It was just that thing keeping us from doing that. That's fine. Let's go back here and go back to the drawing board. We've got this. Train comm! What's going on? Consider yourself given attention. So we've got these things like that. Let's grab these delta wings maybe. And put them backwards perhaps? And see how that goes. Wow, okay. That honestly looks freaking amazing. That's an accident, honestly. I wonder if it's going to generate any lift. Center of mass, center of lift. Jeez, could we do it this way? I don't even understand how those wings are sticking on there right now. What are those wings attached to? I think the wings are completely confused about what they're supposed to be doing. Look at this. You can almost like fill in the hole at the back. That looks pretty darn cool, honestly. Let me put the engine on there and see how that works. But again, click it off the side and undo. I could have done that, but sometimes I like to get frustrated and yell at KSP. Let's put the engine on there. That moved that back. Let's put the ailerons on. See how that affects things. That's ×2. Look at that. That is actually looking pretty darn cool. This looks a lot like, oh my gosh, what was the plane? An actual plane. An actual plane? It's a butterfly. Come on. It's got to be something cooler than butterflies. Let's see if losing fuel changes. Yeah, we're not really moving the center of mass very badly. That's okay. We've got those on. I wonder if this is going to be enough lift. Let's see here. VTOL, train comm about making a VTOL. That's the advanced space planes class. Making a VTOL is definitely something that we can do, but we're kind of in intro to space planes number 2, I guess. It's not really an intro, but it's not really the first thing because we are glazing over some topics. Let's go ahead and put some of these back here, like that. And remember what we talked about? We want to have clearance for the engine in the back, but we want to also be able to pivot up off of that. I feel like this could go further up to the front. We definitely don't need 2 of them though. Like that. We want to keep that kind of close. I think that's okay, and it's going to give us a bit of an upwards angle. Maybe we don't quite have... The X-29, thank you, Cyforgis. That is what I was looking for, the Grumman X-29. With the kind of swept forward wings. It doesn't exactly look like it, but it's kind of close. Gojira? I don't even know what that means. Let's see here. It needs a tail. Let's put a tail on it. Is this the winglet thing? Does it have the built-in control surface? Small, lightweight, more lift than control. Small, yep, there we go. Alright, so we don't need that. Where is the tail fin? That's not a bad tail fin. It's not the coolest looking tail fin, honestly. Let us put this on here as well. Does that tail fin have integrated, what do you say? Nope. Alright, good deal. It says it's been blunted to prevent the accidental dismembering of... What did it say? It's a little hardcore. That's a tail fin. We've got things in the back. I wonder how this will fly. I mean, statistically it looks pretty good. It's still not going to go to space. So let's see what we can do. What is going on here? Scythe. Scythily, what did I miss? Gridman X29. There we go. Yeah, alright. I caught that one already. Sometimes I want to try and make sure that I didn't miss things. Like we said last time, in order to go to space, we actually need something that works in space. The engine that we have on there right now does not work in space. However, we can totally add some things that work in space. We are always huge fans of the 48-7S's. They are great little engines. That looks pretty cool. I like to make them pretty as well. So let's see if I can't come over here and grab that little pod thingy. I'm not even on the right tab, am I? There we go. That's okay. A little bit of clipping, but that's okay. Let's run some fuel lines out to it to make sure that they have fuel. Needs a booster stage for the space plane. Needs a booster stage for reals those. All right, there we go. Did I do 2x symmetry? I did. Needs intakes. All right, so is there any way we could spam intakes? It doesn't really look like it. What if we just go with those same intakes we had before? Not the best intakes, don't get me wrong. The best intakes to use on your space planes are these ram air intakes, but we don't. I am not one to just clip them into random places. I mean, could we put them there, I guess? Would that be kind of legitimate, maybe? I don't know. Actually, I might let that slide. I might let that slide since we've got that thing there. Let's see here. Maybe there's something I can do. Do I have an empty node? Let's have a look. Do I have an empty node? I do not have an empty node there. That's lame. Can I get an empty node? Because we've got that on that node. This guy has 2 nodes. If we put that on the front, then we will have an empty node like that. I'm clipping things out the wazoo here, and I don't like clipping, but since these are just structural pieces, they don't have fuel or anything like that in them, I'm not too worried about it. So we've got that, and then would I be okay with putting an intake on the front of it? Maybe. Let's see here. Up. And action. Nope. Alright, it's clipping through too many parts, so we'll do this. We'll grab that and see if I can't move it over to the edge some more like that. Maybe that will work for us. Let's see. Nope, it still doesn't like it. Okay, new plan. Can we... Nope, that's clipped through there already. Anybody have any ideas on how to make that going except for pressing F12? Because I don't like clipping things, but I think I'll let this slide. Oh, maybe it's these gear. Those gear are always in the way, right? Don't leave your gear like that. Come on. Nope, it doesn't like that either. Lame. This is why I don't like doing the clipping thing. We could totally just press F12 and do it. I want to make it look cool, though, and that's not particularly looking cool. Could we do something like this? Sometimes we can use this trick, right, where we put it somewhere where it's not clipping, like that, and then we grab it and we put it back here like this. There you go. All right. ×2. There you go. Totally not going to click it. Yep, there you go. Rotate it in just like that. So we got that. I think I may let that slide because those are kind of cool, and I've put some little, penance pieces on there. And we still need to do the fuel like this. That's a little bit ugly with that strut there, but what can you do? Anything else? We got to fix the gear apparently. Can I put the gear in here maybe? And then rotate them down. Nope, wrong way. Wrong way also. It's always the 6th direction. Nope, now it's on the wrong part. I do not want to land that plane with those gears so close together. What if we also made these gear pods? Would this work at all? I actually don't know. Let's see. Reset the symmetry on those guys. No, it doesn't like doing that at all. That actually kind of works. What is that on? Really? Okay. It's almost legitimate looking. that was an accident, honestly. Let's see if I can't get it going in the opposite direction. Like that. I think the other direction's better. You know something? I'll go with it. I'll allow it. I will totally allow that. What else did I miss? What hacks? Totally hacks. All I'm doing is hacking Kerbal Space hacks here. Such a cheater. He's like, look at me, I'm teaching people Kerbal Space Program, and then he's just a freaking cheater. We've got that power generation we need. So why don't we slap like a couple batteries on there? This is a good place for it. That is an interesting way for that battery to be oriented. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I am very confused about the meshes that these things clip into. Can we put them out on the wings so we have like wing lights? That's what we'll do. There we go. That's... yeah, I don't know what I think about that, honestly. That looks pretty dumb. Let's put it... ooh, here, our penance parts. Yes! Totally gonna fill that gap. That was a great place to put the batteries, honestly. And we could do the same thing on the bottom with our penance parts here. Penance parts are parts that you put in when you know you're cheating. But it looks cool enough that you can warrant doing the cheating. What else am I missing here? You're watching the stream in the shower? Have more angle of attack on the runway. You're correct. I know you're correct. Let's see if I can put them back here. That's going to cover up our awesome parts, though. That's probably a better way to do it, but that's way too far at the back. And honestly, we didn't get a whole lot of angle of attack from it. We could also increase this, right? So what Soldier Wager was doing, he was saying that we wanted a higher angle of attack when we're taking off. That's pretty important. That actually looks... that's not bad. I wish it wasn't hanging off the bottom. Let's see here. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. What else? Do we need a docking port or something like that? I'm honestly not too worried about the docking ports, although I am worried about not having enough air intake. We've got those two things. Let's just see how it goes. Should we launch this? Y'all think this guy's good to go? Power generation we didn't put in yet, so let's do that. One of these dealies. Could we put them out? Nope, that's totally sideways. That's definitely not what we're looking for. It's always the sixth direction. That needs to be... you just ran out of Dr. Pepper. Could I do this? Oh, that's actually not terrible. Since they're penance parts, that's not a great place to put it because we don't have any forward-facing ones. We definitely need some forward-facing ones or something on the underneath as well. Maybe the combination of those there plus two under there, that would give us enough coverage. There are some angles, like if the sun was up here, we wouldn't be able to get hit. Let's go ahead and do this, just to make sure we don't ever run out of sunshine. Is that good? Yep, that looks good. Put a Clampatron Junior, a Clampatron Senior. Put a Clampatron Senior on it. You want me to do this sort of deal, where we've got this, and then we put that, and then we like make it look like an AWACS, maybe? Let's see here, honestly. A spaceplane AWACS, if we were to increase that a little bit, that's definitely not the form factor of the AWAC. So let's not... that's a silly idea, honestly. We should totally make an AWAC one day. That would be kind of cool, honestly. We'll just slap a docking port there because we need a docking port. It looks dumb. It looks totally dumb. You know something? Who cares? Landing gear that far back makes it easier to land without knocking the engines off, but it gives us less upwards rotation because typically you want your landing gear to be close to the center of mass so you can pivot it up off of them. But I think we'll be okay. That docking port ruins the entire aesthetic of this entire craft. I am not going to worry about... what am I not going to worry about? I am not going to worry about RCS for this. So let's just go ahead and take this guy up and see how it works. It's a sombrero. It is a plane with a sombrero. Yes. Launch. Let's see how this guy flies. Impossible dockings. You just get close and you get out and push. That's our RCS will be in the Kerbal's backpack. Of course, we are carrying a little bit of I'm not going to worry about docking here. That's kind of what we're doing there. So, we are going to use the next half of the stream. Let's see if this thing can get to space. It looked like it was good. We didn't set up action groups. We definitely need to set up the action groups right quick. So let's go back to the spaceplane hangar. Launch at night. KSC looks cool at night. Alright, and then I was saying I needed... what did I just say I needed? I totally said something, and then I totally forgot about what it was that I needed. I needed the radial docking port. I'm not worried about a docking port. We're just going to fly this thing to space. We'll put docking ports and stuff on the next one that we build. What else did I need? I came back here for a reason. Yes, action groups. Thank you. That's what I was talking about. Custom 1. Activate. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. I like to do 3 different groups. I've got one where I've activated my turbojet and I shut down my others. My 2 is usually activating the turbojet and activating the rocket engines. And then my 3 is usually shutting down my turbojet and activating my rocket engines. And that lets us get 3 things going here. That lets, what was I doing? Activate. There we go. That lets us get 3 things going. Stage 1 is when we're just taking off. Stage 2 is when that turbojet is about to run out of air and we want the rocket engines to continue pushing us. And then stage 3 is when we're completely out of air. So let us click save. Let us click launch. All my action groups are good. Let's see what's going on. What did Nightbot do? I don't know. Nightbot was just wanting you to take a survey? Yeah, by the way, if you haven't taken the survey, Nightbot just posted a link up there in the chat. I ask people to tell me what it is that they're interested in watching KSP streams or KSA streams about. If you want to take the survey, it only takes a minute or 2 to do. I would definitely appreciate it, and it does help me out a lot. Let's see how this thing goes just with these intakes. I'm not sure how we're routing the air from this nice cone over to this engine, but you know, whatever. Panel action groups, I didn't have extendable solar panels. I just had these solar panels directly on there. That guy looks like he could use a little bit more angle of attack. That's interesting. He is not taking off. That means that he does not have enough lift for the weight that he has. He will probably be fine at the end of the runway. Let's find out. Yep, there we go. And see how he's more stable? See how he pulls the velocity vector there up with him? I'm not going to worry about the fact that he didn't take off. I think that's because of our gear being so far back. But he took off just fine. Look at that. That's actually pretty darn cool. So I think if we had put those gear further close to the front instead of so far at the back, it would have let us pivot back off of it. But with those gears so far at the back, we were actually, you know, kind of the old inclined plane, sort of, not inclined plane, the old leverage thing. With the pivot point at the very back, we were basically lifting up all the weight of the plane as opposed to pivoting the plane on an axis like that. I think that's what happened there. So, we talked about the standard launch profile for the space plane last time. We grease up until we get up to about 15,000 feet, then we start to level it out. Exactly what you can do is going to depend on your plane. This one only has 2 intakes for 1 engine. That's not exactly enough intakes. One of the things that kind of gets me about KSP is that you do kind of have to spam the air intakes in order to make the space planes work a lot of the time. It's never the sort of situation where you put 1 intake per 1 engine. I think the number is something like, isn't it like 6 intakes per engine or something like that? Somebody could toss the statistics over there in chat. But it seems like you really have to spam those intakes a lot, which is a little bit cheaty sounding. It does. White Chevy, it has a ramp at the end of the runway. If you look at it, the end of the runway is inclined and then it goes down. So it's not flat ground at the end of the runway. There is a bit of a ramp. Maybe not a ramp. The ground just drops out from under you all of a sudden. Feisternest? Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We're talking about space planes this evening. Trying to get this one into orbit here. So let's see what's going on. I do 2 toggle turbojet. Yeah. This way, the way that I do it, so some people were saying in chat, you could set it up so that 1 toggles your jet engine and the other one, like 2 toggles your rocket engines. You could do that. Sometimes I get confused as to what mode is in what. So we will have to see. But I like the 1, 2, 3 because I know by pressing 3 I've only got rockets on. I know by pressing 2 I've got both on, and I know by pressing 1 I've only got the jet engines on. That's 17. I need to start leveling out and picking up speed here. So again, I just want to spend as much time at this altitude as possible. Let's see what's going on here. Tinier Fiend, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. I just got the follow there. Thank you so much for the follow. We do Kerbal Space Academy just about every night when my computer's not broken. Tonight we're doing space planes, so welcome to the stream. I do appreciate you kind of dropping by. You meant like a quarter pipe, like a ski ramp sort of slope? So again, all we're doing, we're trying to maximize our speed that we get at this altitude right here. I'm watching my vertical speed. I don't want this to be up in 100 or 1,000 or anything like that. I actually want it to be pretty low. The air effects here, this is telling me that I'm going really fast. Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. The red lines on your plane mean you're going really fast. Thank you for joining us. I hope you've learned something. This actually, we started to fall down there, so I need to go ahead and increase it back up. And it looks like I did not quite have enough altitude. I needed to keep going up so that this air gets thinner and thinner, because remember, as we increase our altitude and we get the air thinner and thinner, that actually means there's less drag in our craft, and I want to get up out of this soup. I want to get up to 25 and 30,000. We still have good intake air, it looks like. So I'm just, again, trying to nose it up a little bit. I'm increasing this vertical speed, so I want to get up into that thinner air. We've got really good velocity. We're actually we're wasting some fuel now here. But I need to get up, up, up. I want to get up out of this thicker soup so that I can stop these red "you're going really fast" lines. I did forget to drain some oxidizer. We'll do that when we go back to it. I can also hear my engine spooling down a little bit. But look at that. Now I've increased this almost up to 100. I didn't put Kerbal Air Engineer on it either, so I don't know how much Delta V I'm going to have. The red lines are fine, says Traincom. That's okay. You can hear the engine continuing to spool down. The way this turbojet works, it makes more and more and more thrust until it gets a certain height, and then it will lose thrust as it loses intake air. So we're at 0.5 on the intake air there, and you'll see this thrust continually going down. The trick is, though, if we can get up into the thinner air, as long as we're still gaining speed there, even though the thrust is dropping down, we just want to continue gaining speed. That is all we're about up here. Getting some altitude. I think once we get up to 30, yep, there we go. We're starting to stabilize right there. And now I'm just going to watch this. I can listen to it too, right? I'm doing 3 times the speed of sound. Nice. Plasma. Jeez. Cien Variantes! What's going on, Cien Variantes? Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We are doing Space Planes 102 this evening. Kind of a little bit advanced spaceplane concepts. Also, wow, who did I just miss? I totally just missed. Let's see what's going on here. Who did I just miss? Oh my gosh. It was... Okay, Singerbun. Did I get Singerbun? Apparently Singerbun, what's going on? Thanks for the follow also, Singerbun. We are continuing to get velocity here. Soul Wager's telling me that it's the velocity. Basically, the engine can't shoot stuff out the back of it fast enough. This is feeling really good. We're getting tons of velocity. We're just going to use those little Rockomax engines to push us out. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I'm feeling like engaging the Rockomaxes, but I don't think I need to yet. What's our thrust? I think when that thrust gets under, call it like 60. X-Gamer TV, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. Thanks for the follow. I missed the dude. I think I got the dude. No, I think I got the dude. I went back and got Singer, I think it was. So we're continuing. Look at this. We're continuing this. What does our orbit look like? That's honestly not bad right there. We've got that 44K apoapse. There our engines shut off, so let's turn on our rocket engines instead. And I am just giving us more and more velocity. We're up here where the air is thin. I'm going to push this apoapse out to at least 70. Call it 75 or something like that. 55, 56, 57. Click on it so it sticks. Click on it so it sticks, like I said. There's 63. Let's put some more into orbital velocity. 70, 73, 74, 75. But I'm still in the air. I'm apparently still, yep, in the air. So even though I set that to 45, the air is continually dragging us down. We're losing some of that velocity to the air resistance since we're still under 50. So we will have to top that back off up to 75. You can also go ahead and throttle that up some. Give it a little bit more than 75 and let it come back down. While it's doing that, let me see if I can get some questions here. Let's see here. I missed the dude. No, I totally got the dude. That's where I was. Variantes, dude. I grew up in South Texas. I know how to pronounce Cien Variantes. Seriously? The Thetor. Do you throttle back as you run out of air? This plane was so overbuilt that I didn't really need to throttle back. I could have eked a little bit more performance out of those engines by throttling back, but really, we were getting so high in that velocity. Like Soul Wager was explaining, our velocity was getting so high that we weren't going to get that much more thrust out of that. If you're throttling back, it means that you're losing thrust due to intake air as opposed to velocity, like Soul Wager was saying. So, flaming out. Yeah, there you go. That's what you're saying right there. So, you can throttle back. You see that a lot in the videos. This plane was overbuilt, so we didn't have to do it. Let's see here. What else do we have? What's going on? All right, I think I caught everything there. So we all know the rest of this plan. What's our altitude right now? 5.7. That's good. Let me burn a little bit more prograde just to put this back to 75. And I'll put it at like 75 too. And we all know how to do our circularization movers. This is standard going to orbit. We barely have to do any delta V. Look at this. This was a really great spaceplane run because in order to circularize this thing, there we go, Apo 75, 75, that looks good. It's only going to cost us $1.24. If we got up here and we were needing to spend 1,000 meters per second delta V in order to circularize our orbit, that means that our spaceplane didn't loiter between 20 and 30 long enough. It didn't pick up enough horizontal speed, orbital velocity, as it was flying in that middle altitude range there. Quanti5, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. Thanks for the follow, man. If you get up there and you need 1,000 meters per second to circularize, that means that your spaceplane went like this. Thoop, and it just jumped out of the orbit at a high angle. What I did was I did that 45-degree angle to get up to around 15, 20,000. Then I leveled off and I tried to fly a level for as long as I could, and I got up to like 1,900 meters per second or something like that. And because of that, because we got to 1,900 meters per second at that 30,000 altitude mark, we only need 124, 125 meters per second to do this circularization. So that was a really good spaceplane run. This is a really capable spaceplane. This thing still probably has, I wonder how much delta V it has. Monopropellant. Woohoo! Good thing I brought that. We could totally take this spaceplane out to the moon, I bet you. However, we are not going to do that. Who was that? Zogs! Oh yeah, Zogs, my computer has been re-repaired. Let's do a victory roll, by the way. My computer was down for the count, and I repaired it, and now it is running again. So I am streaming again. We're going to get these Kerbal Space Academy sessions going every night again. So let me do this. Let me just go ahead. I don't even really need to circularize. Y'all all know what's going to happen if I circularize this thing. You've seen it a million times. Do I have electric charge? I do have electric charge. What if we do this? Let's do another concept that we did not cover last time, and that is going to be re-entering and landing at KSC. So I will go ahead and circularize this thing. I am going to come over. I'm pointing at my blue node. You know how to circularize. This is a 14-second burn. If I didn't have a 20-second stream delay, I would ask you, how far in advance of my node should I burn? Remember, what I want to do is I want to split it, bracket it, half of the burn on either side with a 14-second burn. That means 7 on one side of the node, 7 on the other side of the node. That means that I'm going to start burning at T-minus 7 seconds. It takes about a second for engines to spool up, so I'm going to call it T-minus 8 seconds. Let's fast forward up to that time so I can get the circularization burn done. There we go. And I am going to burn at the node at T-minus 8. So there we go. We're sipping that fuel. We're totally sipping the fuel. And look at that delta V. Look at the velocity change. Look at the delta V get spent, I guess you could say. That right there is what an orbit looks like. Apparently it flips us upside down. And wow, not having engineer really freaking gets on my nerves. Let's go look at it over here. Apo 75. Nope. Apo 74. 75, 74. Ah, that's good enough for government work. So there you go. Here's a space plane. Here's a sweet victory roll for you. That actually looks really cool. And it was really easy to fly. It had ample lift. It had ample thrust. It had ample delta V. And it was very controllable when we were up in those middle altitudes. We were able to get a lot of velocity out of that turbojet flying between 20 to 25,000 feet. We got a buku velocity out of that. So let's see here. The next thing we need to do is get home. Let me see if I missed any questions. To make the didn't understand how they worked. Oh, okay, dude, Snuggly Sid, no worries. Did I get the picture covers your giant face? The picture covers, you mean the picture behind my face? Since we're orbiting here, I'll do this very quick. Are you talking about this picture behind me? The Kerbal Space Center, the new thing that's coming out with 0.25. I totally grabbed it off the squad screen. I green screened myself in. This looks hideous up here in the corner. That looks hideous up there in the corner. Wait. There we go. I'd be a terrible weatherman. But whatever. But yeah, that was posted on their Twitter a couple days ago, I think. So I just downloaded the picture and I set it as my backdrop for my green screen here. 8 seconds. What did I just miss? 8 seconds. Let's talk about deorbiting. We want to come down from our flight around the planet here. We still have power, right? Yeah, we still have power even though we're on the dark side. Apparently somebody's calling me. I don't even know who that is. Anyways, we need to come back down from our orbit. And the trick is, how do we do that in a space plane? The good news is, I have a freaking awesome mod that helps us. A lot of the deorbiting to bring your space plane back to KSC is kind of guess, test, and revise. You just kind of know where you need to begin your deorbit, and you need to know how much delta V you're going to spend in order to do the deorbit. I've done enough deorbits here. I have kind of a standard policy that I follow. And basically what I do is when I'm between 75 and 85 altitude, I do my deorbits over this mountain range right here. So you can see right here in the middle of Kerbal Asia, or Kerbal whatever continent this is, maybe it's like a sideways Asia or something, there is this mountain range. I'm totally going to sneeze. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. And I'm going to like rip my headphone jack out. I totally didn't need to sneeze. I felt like I was going to sneeze. I hate that. Anyways, in the middle of Kerbal Asia here, you can identify this on your map. I call this KSC, as you probably call it. You can kind of see the launch pad, the Kerbal Space Center. This is the continent the Kerbal Space Center is on. I call this continent right here Kerbal India. It kind of sticks down like India. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but whatever. I call it Kerbal India. Maybe this is Kerbal Asia. I don't know what it's actually called. The important thing is, here's KSC. Here's Kerbal India sticking down to the little ocean there. Here's the next continent over, and here's the big mountain range. You can definitely do this a different way. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but this is my own personal way that I follow. I will go ahead and put a node here, and you burn retrograde to come down out of orbit, right? And I will burn that node retrograde. Go away, thank you. Until it is just about touching this little thing here. Where is it at? Nope, that's too far. There we go. So you have this other landmass sticking down over here. This is actually to the east of KSC. And I'll put that thing right about there, right? That's the way I used to do it. Now, I've totally screwed some things up. Some of you may understand what I did wrong. I did it wrong on purpose because when you're starting out with these re-entries on your spaceplane, you're going to make the mistake this way a lot of times. Check it out. Das, dude, you said to put it over the mountain range. I put it over the mountain range and it didn't work. What does the planet do, Kerbal Space Academy? The planet actually rotates, and as we come around here, the planet is actually going to rotate out from under that maneuver node. See how the maneuver node is no longer over the mountain range? It is actually, which craft am I zoomed on? Alright, there we go. So, since I was on the other side of the planet, I put the maneuver node over the mountain range there, and then by the time I got around to this side, it's no longer over the mountain range. What you need to do is get closer to the mountain range, like so. This is me right here, apparently. And then you can actually drag your maneuver node, kicking and screaming, back to where it's supposed to be, over the mountain range. Let's just go check it. That is still putting us in just shy of that. That's pretty darn close. It is not an exact science. It's not like we're dealing with space planes and rockets and that sort of stuff. I'm actually going to put it that side of the mountain range just a little bit so the mountain range can rotate underneath it. Let us see here. It would be Kerbindia. Look at the light for my sneeze. Is that a thing? I can look at the light and it'll make me not sneeze. Maybe looking at the camera solved my sneeze. Anyways, so to recap, mountain range in the middle of Kerbal Asia, whatever. I put a node there. I set it so that it intersects with the planet just short of this little peninsula. So here's KSC. Here's just short of that peninsula. That's going to get us pretty darn close. It's not going to be exact. The cool thing is, with this new trajectory mod, which I love, which is down in the channel description now, it would be Kerbindia since I'm on Kerbit. You love Das Valdez. Is now following the channel. You love Das Valdez? Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. I'm glad that you love Das Valdez. I'm not going to argue with that. I do have a node to burn, so I can't really talk to you too much right now. But let's go ahead and get this burn done. And then I will talk a little bit about this trajectory node, the trajectory mod that I've installed. The trajectory mod is freaking awesome. That's 11-second burn, 6 seconds in. Let's go ahead and do it to it. And look what's happening. The trajectory mod is calculating my trajectory after I enter the atmosphere, which is freaking amazing. I am going to go ahead and kill it right there. And let's see how close I was, right? I said over the mountain range, put in a node, put in just about enough delta V that it puts you just short of this, right there like that, and let's see where we land. The new trajectory mod tells us that we are going to land pretty much darn tootin' at KSC. So here's how this mod works. I love this mod. There's a link to it down in the chat if you want to check it out. Uh-oh, what's going on over there? Let me talk about the mod some. I'll get caught up on what's going on over there. The mod is new. It was just featured by a squad on their main page a couple days ago, the Modding Mondays. Actually, that was yesterday. And what it does is, out of the box, Kerbal Space Program does not simulate slowing due to the atmosphere. It does not simulate the atmosphere losing your orbital velocity, so changing your orbit, right? So out of the box, Kerbal Space Program says, oh, look at you, you're going to go on this blue line and you're going to end up over here. We all know that's wrong. If you've ever tried to put the end of that rainbow at the Kerbal Space Center, you know that that's not where you're actually going to end up, right? Because the planet's going to rotate and the air is going to slow you down so that you... I'm going to get caught up on chat in just a second. The air is going to slow you down so that you're not going to make it nearly that far. You're going to be a lot shorter. What the new trajectory mod does, it actually takes into account the resistance due to the atmosphere, including the depth. The density gets more as you go down, and it will actually show you where it thinks that you're going to go. So while I'm on a white line with the mod, that means that I'm in space. When it's a red line, that means that I'm in some sort of atmospheric influence. And the X down here on the planet is showing me where I am going to land based on the rotation of the planet. So what does that mean? You can see the differences in the blue and the red line here, right? The blue line goes up like this. The red line is a lot shorter than that. And the red line goes out into the inner of the ocean. That's because the red line is the mod, and the mod is saying, whoa, buddy, air's going to slow you down. You're not going to make it nearly that far. You're going to end up right there. But you're going to end up right there, and in the time that it takes you to end up at the end of this red rainbow, the planet is going to rotate, and this X right here, this little crosshair in red, is going to be where you are, or what part of the planet is underneath you when you go down on that red line there. So, you can see I've got that thing pretty darn tootin' close to KSC. However, since I'm a space plane, I really want to come in a little bit lower than that. So I'm going to burn a little bit more retrograde. And look, as I burn retrograde, it not only changes the red line, but it also changes the X there. And I think I could stop it right around there, and that should be a good glide for our plane. Now you can also see it looks like we're coming a little bit south, so I can change it by pointing north, like this. And by pointing north, since I'm coming in an equatorial orbit, pointing straight north, so horizon north on the nav ball, and burning is going to move that node up a little bit. Sorry, that crosshair up a little bit. That just means I'm lining up with the runway at KSC. And so now I've moved it up a little bit. Let's do it a little bit more. There, see it move up. There we go. That easy peasy rover cheesy is just something that I've got parked at KSC, which is really cool. And now we are going to continue following this mod on down and see how darn close. Remember, we want it to come in a little bit short so I can kick up the engines and then turn on the kick up the engines and turn on the engines all at the same time. So I can turn on the engines and fly the rest of the way into the runway. That's why I'm coming in low here. So let's go back to the plane. Let's watch it. It's still pointing retrograde. Another important thing that goes on with this mod, I will actually go back to the map and show you. It wants you to point prograde right now. So I'm going to go ahead and point my craft prograde. There is my craft pointing prograde. That's okay. It is not particularly going to be accurate in stock KSP, and here's why. Let's open up the config panel for it. It actually gave us a warning earlier, but it is telling us that, hey, you've got some wings. Stock aerodynamics doesn't really model the wings very well. You're going to have some lift. What it needs me to do is point straight prograde to the velocity vector the entire way down. So I need to keep following the velocity vector, and that's what this is telling me here. What could I do with it? I could say, hey, my space plane, when I get into the high altitude, I'm actually going to tilt up 15 degrees relative to my velocity vector. So my angle of attack, this is my velocity vector, I would be 15 degrees above it. I can set that here in the mods window. If I wanted to nose down, I could do that. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at all zeros, because that is going to mean that I just keep pointing straight at the velocity vector all the way down, and that should be pretty darn close. However, we are going to get some lift from our wings, and that means we're going to fly a little bit longer, so I don't think that it's going to be completely accurate with that, because it doesn't... stock aerodynamics doesn't do a particularly great job of modeling lift in wings and that sort of stuff, as we all know. But let's see how this goes. The other cool thing about the mod is that it's also working with near and far. So it will detect if you've got near or far installed, and it actually talks to the near/far DLLs, and it looks at their algorithms for determining how your plane is going to fly, and it will calculate your re-entry based on the near or far if you've got that installed. Right now, I'm full stock. That's how I do Kerbal Space Academy itself. So that is what it is calculating right now. Let's see how close it is. It seems to think that we're going to come in, you know, that's probably like 20 kilometers short of KSC. I'm just guessing. I don't know if that's exactly right. Let's see here. Did I miss anything else? All right, while we're doing the re-entry, we'll go here. I'm going to try and point this prograde while I get caught up with chat to see if I've missed anything. What have I missed? I apparently missed some stuff. I have a stalker. Yes. Luckily, Chocomole is here to take care of that. Right, Chocomole? I didn't miss a YouTuber. I don't even do YouTube, really. I just upload things to YouTube. I don't know if I want to be called a YouTuber, really. There, we're starting to get some reentry. There's Minmus up there as well. Hello, Minmus. IVA, land in IVA mode. We could do that. I would rather show what's going on. Slightly unrelated question. Let's see what that is. What's the difference between near and far? I think near is a little bit simpler, and far is a little bit more real-world accurate. Maybe somebody else could add on to that a little bit. Oops, I'm typing in the chat. I'm like, Q, 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 roll left. That's not what we wanted at all. So let's see here. We're beginning to bleed off that velocity. I'm not going to fire up the engine. I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to keep flying straight on my velocity vector here, trying to come in short. It's better to be called YouTuber than a Twitcher. That actually makes some sense. There you go. Thank you, Yad. The difference between the near and the far mods. So check it out. I had my old school way of doing it, which was put the node over the mountain range, make it come in just short of the thingy with the stuff, the little peninsula that sticks down. This mod is awesome because when I did that burn on the node that I set up, it actually showed me, hey, you kind of know what you're doing, I guess. And it showed me coming in right there at KSC. I slackened it off just a little bit so that I will come out of orbit a lot before KSC, or just a little way before KSC, and then we're actually going to fly our plane the rest of the way in. So, what else did I miss? Just maybe I don't know, Twitcher's kind of cool. Streamer? I wouldn't mind Streamer, that's not bad. And again, just so that the mod can calculate it, I'm flying straight down with this velocity vector. However, when it gets to about 45%, I think I'm actually going to start flying the plane. Maybe when we get down to like 4,000, I'll kick the engine in, and then we will F5 for safety. F5ing is half the battle, maybe. But I am just... See, I'm also not exactly lined up with the runway. Apparently in this save, I don't have my runway beacons. Maybe we can run out and set those up right quick. I think I'll start flying when I get to 5,000 feet. I'll throttle up and we'll fly her in. So let's see how this is going to work. Again, I'm just gliding in at this point, it looks like. In fact, I wonder, we're far enough out to KSC, I wonder if I could start bleeding off some of the speed. No, it's not going to let us fly all the way in, apparently. So we are going to have to turn the engine on and fly the rest of the way in. Look at that green sky. That's pretty cool. But now that I've got some thrust, I can actually fly all the way in. I'll just get down to about 1,000 feet or so, and we'll fly 1,000 feet off the deck into the Kerbal Space Center. I could probably still be gliding right now, but we have so much fuel left. What was that, 195? So how much, somebody compute, I'll leave that up there, somebody compute how much extra oxidizer we didn't need. We could have taken out a pretty good amount of oxidizer, it looks like. And we will talk about that. But just compute how much extra oxidizer I have left over after those maneuvers. Basically, right now, the oxidizer should be pretty darn close to the liquid fuel, because I haven't burned too much liquid fuel yet. But here I am, coming in for the runway. It looks like I'm not quite lined up yet. I'll show you all a trick. We'll run out and do it right quick, since it is definitely a spaceplane concept. I have a trick that I use. Look at us flying over the city here. That's actually pretty cool. That's one of those better atmospheres thing. The better atmospheres pack that also included the cities. That runway's looking a little bit better. We still need to go a little bit off to our left. To our, what would that be? North? There, we apparently went underneath the city. That happens. We're 700 feet off the deck. The runway's, I'm going to say, probably about... The runway's like 3 kilometers long, 2.5 kilometers long. So I'm going to say that we're coming in a little bit short there, so we'll just go ahead and level it out. We're lined up good with the runway. Let's make sure our gear work. Do our gears still work after that trip to space? That's a good thing. And I am continuing to lose that. Let's not lose nearly as much. And then the city disappeared. Yeah, this is exactly as soon as I started talking about it. 73.1%. You could have bled off 70, so I would want it to be at 76%, or I would only have 23.35% left in the tank. Which one were you telling me there? It was an illusion. Yeah, the city is totally an illusion. Actually, the city floats like way up in the air. But here we are coming in for a landing. This plane has good lift because we're going 90 meters per second, and that is not a bad landing speed. I feel like I could go a little bit less. Let's lose a little bit more altitude. You ask Siri. Oh, I have. Okay, so I could have bled off the 25%, basically. I could have bled off 23%. Luis Paliotto, what's going on, buddy? We are landing a space plane here. Let's kill the engine all the way. I think we have enough velocity and lift. There we go. Coming into the runway. There we go. Now we can hit the brakes. No sudden movements, but we'll taxi her on in. And there we have a full spaceplane mission to orbit and back. I'll just let the engines run, and we'll see if we can't taxi her on in here. Slower. Slower. Don't roll. Nope. Oh, no, I got rid of too much velocity. Anyways, there we have it, folks. Whoa, no, too much. Too much. I'm just trying to taxi over here to the hangar so that Jeb can return the Will I Fly to the hangar. Anyways, it's not city lights, it's what? It's some sort of gas? It's swamp gas. Swamp gas reflecting off the moon or something. You know, do the flashy thingy. So anyways, here we are at the hangar. Jeb has accomplished a successful spaceplane mission. We talked about getting that plane into orbit. We talked about putting the lift on it. We talked about the launch profile for a spaceplane. Wish I had reversed, but I don't. We talked about the different things. Parts of a spaceplane, which we did kind of glaze over because we've done the Kerbal Space Academy Intro to Spaceplanes 101 before. What I want to do now, I want to take some questions to the chat. I am going to return this plane to the hangar. I'm going to go over to the hangar. If there's any questions about what we've done, the reentry from the mod was really freaking cool. I am not going to lie, that's one of my new favorite mods. Let me get over to the chat here. That's cool. Let's go into the spaceplane here. And let's see if there's anything to get caught up on. Currently have 76. Alright, I have my starting oxidizer, so I could have taken out 20% of the oxidizer. So 20% of the oxidizer on 440, 4 times 2 would be 8. So that would mean that we would take out about 80 oxidizer. And that would mean that we would have about 3,600, 3,052. That's probably just about right. That's a little bit more than we needed to take out, but that's okay, because I said 20%. We could have taken out a little bit more. So that's actually going to make the spaceplane a lot more efficient, not having to tote that oxidizer around with us. There's just no reason to carry it. We don't need it. We also don't need the monopropellant in the tank here, and I do want to put Kerbal Engineer on here. So let's actually do a couple things. Let us go over to Kerbal Engineer. Let's slap the Flight Engineer on here on the back of the plane. There we go. That's good. And let us see how that affects the weight. So our mass was 729 or 7279. The way it's set right now, if I put the monoprop back in, 7279, that's 30, 39. That's about 30 kilograms that we saved by not carrying this. Yeah, we didn't need that. And then how many kilograms did we save? That was 352. 7279. That's actually quite a bit. 279 versus 779. So that's 500 kilograms. That's half a ton we saved just by not putting that oxidizer in. So that's going to make our craft more efficient. The single turbojet will be able to push it harder. It'll get more speed out of it. It'll have better lift to weight ratio. And when we're in space, we'll have more delta V because we have less mass to carry around. That's worthless mass. Let me have a look and see. I have the oxidizer backwards. What was that? I have the oxidizer backwards. I could have removed 70%. Thator, I didn't want to do that because we would want to be able to take this thing up to the moon or something like that. So Soul Wager's explaining it perfectly right now. Once I got out of the atmosphere, that's when I wanted to have the same amount of liquid fuel and oxidizer, actually a little bit more liquid fuel and oxidizer then, so that as we use the oxidizer outside the atmosphere, we use them at the same rate, and then we have just enough fuel at the end to land the plane, just enough liquid fuel. So let's see what else is going on here. Hey, that's actually really cool. That's actually really cool, that drawing. I like it. Cool. Let's see what else we have. Needs RCS and one docking port to dock with the station. Luis, we could totally do that. I don't think we want to spend the time on it here, but yes, we would put the RCS and we would put the docking port on so we could dock with the station. This was kind of just a technology demonstrator, I guess, to get up to orbit. Could we put a docking port on here? Yes. Could we put a RCS control on here? Yes. Could we balance it with RCS build aid? Yes, we could totally do that. All of those things we could do. I don't think we're going to spend time on the stream on it this evening. But again, the concept we were just talking about was removing that oxidizer. And the trick is, this liquid fuel right here, where it doesn't have matching oxidizer, that's going to be our atmospheric liquid fuel. We'll be using that when we're flying through the atmosphere. And then this, where the liquid fuel actually matches the oxidizer, that will be our out-of-atmosphere fuel that will fuel those little 78S engines down there. So, what else? Any other questions? Did I have anything else? Can I make a biplane? I could totally make a biplane. I can actually one-up you on that. What did we call this? We called this the single butterfly to orbit or something, SBTO. Save. This is actually a really good space plane. One of the things that I'm going to try to start doing is when I design a craft here in Kerbal Space Academy, I'm going to try to upload it to Kerbal X, so that if you wanted to actually download this craft and play with it at home on your own thing, it would totally be down to, it would totally be cool if you wanted to use this on your own time, on your own computer. So I am going to try to be uploading these to Kerbal X under the Kerbal Space Academy label. I'll put a link to it down in the chat, and I may do a tweet the first time. Like if I upload this plane, maybe I'll put out a tweet. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, totally do that, and you'll know when this craft is available on Kerbal X. I almost wish I had like an assistant here who could be doing things like that while I was streaming, but you know, I don't have an assistant or anything like that. What else do we have? Need RCS. Okay, got it. It's a drawing. It's not a drawing, it's a mod. It turns every ship into a drawing. That's actually really cool, Trincom. If it will take like a craft file, like a .craft file, and turn it into a drawing, that's actually a pretty cool mod. I'm not gonna lie. What else did we have? No questions on spaceplane building. I think maybe what we could talk about at the end of the session here. How much time do we have left? We have about 30 minutes left. So that single spaceplane mission there did us pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and save the SBTO, the single butterfly to orbit. And let's load up another plane that we built last time. Leva Fressel. Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. Tonight we're doing space planes. We do other topics too, like landing on the moon, or doing interplanetary transfers, and all sorts of stuff. So I appreciate the follow. I always tweet out before I go live with the topic that we'll be doing. Where was the XL wing? So somebody asked for a biplane. I've actually got a triplane that we did in Intro to Space Planes 101. Here's the triplane we generated. This was an exercise in not having enough thrust, or actually not having enough lift. So we added those ancillary wings in there so that we would have, there's our center of mass, there's our center of lift. Remember, same thing I talked about, that center of lift is just behind the center of mass. In this much larger craft, it was like a crew transport craft, so we could carry 4 Kerbals into orbit. In this larger craft, we needed more lift, and we did it by putting more wings on. So we've actually got a triplane sort of setup here. This thing flies like a dream, by the way, except it tends to want to go in a flat spin on occasion. But whatever. Let's see here. Who else? Let's see. Dude, Sarian! What's going on, man? We're just doing... if you'd let me remote into your system, you could do it. Nice. We are just doing Space Planes 102. We talked about a little bit, some more advanced concepts, including re-entering. And I totally use that mod, because that mod with the whole re-entering thing and the atmospheric trajectory thing is freaking awesome. Not going to lie. You should download it now. By the way, the mod that I was talking about with the atmospheric reentry, I've got it down in the channel description. So if you scroll down and you see under my mod list, channel description. Wait, what? What's it called? Oh no, it's totally called mod list, not channel description. And you can see a link that goes straight to the forum thread. I would encourage you to go download that, especially if you're running a career mode where you're actually getting paid for how close you land to the KSC. So, What else can we do? I think we were talking about spending the rest of our time building an X-Wing. I'm not sure. I am not sure. Let's see if we can build an X-Wing, because we could definitely build that part of it. I may need to bring up a picture of an X-Wing. Let's start from scratch. I do know that the cockpit is way back, and it has a very long nose. But I'm not sure that this is going to be the right cockpit to use, because I can't really do the whole down slope sort of thing. What was that there? Was it a picture of an X-Wing? It's not a picture of an X-Wing. What the heck is that? That is a picture of somebody's base on the asteroid up there, which is actually a pretty cool looking base. Was that you, Luis? Is that your base on the asteroid? So let's see here. That thing, and we need a long nose. Could we just put fuel in the nose? That may not work. That's actually going to really screw with us. This is not going to look like an X-Wing at all. And it definitely had like a little kind of nose cone on the front, didn't it? This is going to look more like a Viper than an X-Wing, I fear. Let's see how it turns out, though. I don't know. And we had the big triangular, or the big square body at the back, didn't we? We're just going to see if we can make an SSXO. That's too much fuel. We definitely don't need that much fuel. On the front there, these are actually those structural segments, so they don't hold fuel, but they're really light. They have 0.1 mass. I'm trying to keep all the mass back here on the wings so I don't have to put any control surfaces in the ring. So hopefully this will actually balance out the engines that we put in the back. We are going to need some fuel, though. So let's see what we can do for fuel. I need a central core, which we can make a fuel, right? Nope, that's the structural fuselage. Air is a... Where's the fuel I want there? Could we just put jet fuel in the middle? And then we'll make that the farthest tank, so we just suck jet fuel out of that? I don't know if that'll be too much, but there's one way to find out. Then definitely we know that X-Wings have things up there and have things down there. If you had the toy as a child, you know that these things actually move apart as they... when they go into attack mode, I guess, when it spreads out the wings. You mean with a propeller engine? I don't have any propeller mods installed, so I could not make a propeller engine biplane on here. Those actually look a little bit too... It's not terrible, but it's not like they cancel out. I feel like this is missing something. Well, the station is far, isn't it? Let's see here. What's the mod called? All right, we've got that. We've got the station. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Boyfriend's got to go do some homework. That's all good. No worries, Smugly Squid. I appreciate y'all hanging out. You know, the what's the word I was looking for? The couple that games together. I don't even know what to say about that. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to take this thing off. But no, I do appreciate y'all hanging out, and y'all are welcome here anytime. That totally didn't work. That also didn't work. Maybe if we put these things... That's the wrong direction. Okay, why did that work? I don't know. Should I put them right side down or upside down, or how should I put these things, I wonder? Come on, nah. Well, we'll just do the trick. We'll put it on one side, and then we'll replicate it. Like that. That doesn't really seem like it looks right. Does it need... I don't know. What do y'all think? How's this thing looking? It's pretty darn close. Well, let's put some engines on it and see how it fares. We definitely know that we had the engines like... I'll use these engines. Where the heck are they? There we go. The Rapiers. Let's see how the Rapiers do. That doesn't even really seem right. Because the wings definitely go to the... That's odd. Why is that going through single symmetry? Two symmetry, please. I wonder if they're too close together and they're clipping into each other. Just barely, maybe. That may be it. We can fix it. There we go. That's not bad, although I do feel like we're missing an R2-D2. Wasn't the droid in the back? The droid was behind him. Put antenna on the end. Yeah, you're right, G-Core God. I should totally do that. Plus, I think I'm going to need more wings. Let's check our center of mass and stuff. There's our center of mass. That's actually good. There's our center of lift, so putting more wings on this will be an excellent solution. And weren't the wings kind of straight? I don't know if I can do that. Let's see if I can do that. Nope. Yes, I can make them more straight. They were like basically straight out. They weren't swept back like these wings at all. Like that, right? It looks like they're kind of swept forward a little bit, which isn't really what I was going for. So I think let's sweep it back 1 tick. That is now swept back a little bit, but I think we're just going to have the lesser of 2 evils. And we'll sweep them back just a tad. Is that... Why are those wings so different? That actually looks pretty darn straight there. So let's see if I can't get that going with this other wing here. Is that right? Pretty darn straight? Pretty darn straight, I think. And we should be able to add more... no, R2 unit. We totally need an R2 unit, and I'm going to get those antenna done. What I wanted to do was that and make these wings bigger. Yeah. Who was that giving me trouble about? Oh, it's modeling the leading edges. Yeah, it also models that as more lift. So that thing is honestly... That's actually really good. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we may need a little bit more. Oh, well, we definitely want this sort of deal. What can I put in the back? R2 is behind the cockpit. All right, thanks. What could we do with an R2? I could put an ion engine. He would at least look like an R2, right? What part do we have that looks any? I mean, that's kind of what we're looking for, even though it's kind of a pointy-headed R2. I think maybe that's what we'll do. Let's have a look. We're too far forward. Now they're good. All right, good dude. So it can lock and unlock the foils. Dude, you're exactly right. But this is the stock. Actually, I'm only using stock parts here, right? Yeah, the stock X-Wing. That's actually looking, it's shaping up pretty good. Toroidal fuel tanks. Oh, the toroidal fuel tanks. That's actually not a bad idea. I was just going to do this. Let's see here. What if I get a Clampatron Junior? Because you have to be able to replace your R2 unit whenever it gets fried. There's a Junior. We would just put 1x symmetry, right, like that, right? A little astromech droid action. And then we would need another Clampatron Junior. Are we going too far here? We may be going too far. But really, you have, when your astromech gets fried, you need to be able to replace it. There's that. Somebody said a toroidal fuel tank. I'll bite. Let's see what it looks like. It's like R2-D2 sticking out the top of the X-Wing. I don't know. The toroidal fuel tank is close, but I don't think it's really the look we're looking for. Let's see if we just put this guy on here. The sensor computing nose cone array. It's a little high because of the, oops, wrong buttons. It honestly looks like some of those droids, but it's just too high because of the docking port. A Stay Putnik. I think that may be too big because those Stay Putniks are pretty darn huge. Can I just put it there? No, the Stay Putnik's going to stick up way too high. Especially with the docking port. Even if I took the docking port off, that's like the AWACS version of the X-Wing fighter. That's not the, it's got the huge radome on the front of it. That's pretty close right there. I wish that piece carried some RCS or something. But it doesn't have a probe core. How would an R2 unit not have a probe core? Does that thing look okay? The droid, oh, it's for the back. Shielded Clampatron. A shielded Clampatron? That sticks up too far, doesn't it? That definitely sticks up too far. But I just don't have any other... I mean, that right there is a good R2 unit, I think. And we could install it with the claw, right? Only one docking port. You mean I need another docking port? I could put... How much does that inline docking port weigh? Let's have a look. Whoever uses these things, really, right? Where's it at? I don't even know where it is. It's under utility, I think. 0.3. That's going to drag our center of mass forward a little bit. Let's see. Could I put 0.3 up there? That moves it down, but not really forward at all. Because I was thinking something like this. Does it look better shorter like that? Does that look better? I don't know. I don't know. Those probe cores, I mean, I like the little antenna on that guy, but I don't think we're going to go with it. What else do we need? Cool, dude, what's going on? We've got that. Our center of mass is a little bit forward now, but I think that's okay. As we empty out, it's going to move back a little bit. Actually, I'm fine with that docking port up there. Did we need anything else? We could totally hide a battery in the back there, and we could put a toroidal fuel tank. Let me see if I can't get there. Nah, no, come on now, girly. Don't do me that way. There we go. Don't you... Yes, okay. That's great. Thank you for being in the ground down there. There we go. That's one battery at least. We could also put some more RCS or some RCS at all back there, right? Where's the RCS thingy? Shorter looks better to you. Okay, no longer. No longer. Oh, man. That looks like the old R2 unit model with the flat head. I don't have anything that's like a very short bump, do I? I mean, I've got this aerodynamic nose cone I could put on him. Nope. Then he looks like Dark Helmet. Dark Helmet. This is that. That's the smaller nose cone. Which I might as well just put a sensor computing array nose cone. You know something? I like that thing enough, and I like the little details on it. I'll just put it like that. He's not supposed to stick up that high, but at least now maybe he can help when the targeting computer gets put offline. What else was I going to put? Use the cube probe core. So instead of the sensor computing array, put the cube probe core? Nobody ever uses the cube probe core. Then he's going to look like one of those guys with the dryer hose legs. The cube probe core? Nobody ever uses the cube for anything, man. That looks hideous. That's like the old school model. We could totally make one of those little utility. Maybe a parachute? Oh, a parachute. That's actually not a bad idea. Let me go get my little nose cone back, because that's a rounded part. Actually, it won't quite be the right color, but I think it will be the right rounding. Utility, parachute, parachute. Where's the stock parachute? That little guy? That's not too bad. That's honestly not too bad. It's even got a replaceable. Plus, he can totally bail out and use the parachute. I think just for the sake of coolness, I'm going to go with the sensor array computing nose cone because I like the little antenna and stuff in there. It does stick up a little bit high, but that's okay. It's the docking ports that are doing it to us. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. We're going to need some RCS in this puppy, right? Who even knows if it's going to fly? Ugh. You don't like it? Type in chat what you think I should use, and we'll make it user submission. We were going to look at this guy. I was going to put some RCS back there. Not that way. Not like this. Something like that, maybe. So now we've got some RCS in the back. How did that change my center of mass? That's okay. I don't even know what the back of the X-Wing looked like. Does anybody have a screenshot of the rear view of an X-Wing fighter? Anyone? It is. You could use it as a... You could totally use it as a... Maybe I should... If I moved it back a little bit more, right? Maybe it would look better if I moved it back. Like in the middle of that. It just sticks up. It sticks up a little bit too high. I'm also going to need fuel lines. So let's toss some fuel lines in there. How am I doing on time? 10 minutes? I don't know if we're going to make this thing fly in that amount of time. But let's do some fuel lines. Behind the R2 unit here, if something hits the fuel lines, I guess that he could turn around and fix them. Weld them with his little welder thingy. What did I just do? There we go. I also need fuel lines on the bottom. Like, where did I put them up there? Right even with the gray things. So basically like that over to like that is good enough for government work. Anybody else? Thank you, Starship Modelers. Excellent. Oh, they stick off in little things. Well, we're going to have these engines back here. And it becomes kind of square and it's got the little thing. And the R2 unit is way up at the front, isn't it? But he does stick up off the back. He definitely sticks up off the back. Hey, have a look at this other picture here. Let's see here. Online. Taking too long. It'll come up in a second. I don't really have a... I could put the cube. I could put the square part in the back. Oh, wow. That's actually a really good... that's actually a really good model of it. I don't really have anything that looks like that. And I don't really have it looking like a cube where it sticks all the way up. Maybe what we could do is put him up like that. And then put something up behind him, maybe? Is there anything we could mount in there? Actually, wait. We've got this. We definitely have this. Look, we could totally be doing this. So apparently our engines are a little bit bigger here. We have to make the engines a little bit bigger. But we could totally... No, that's way too darn big. I was hoping I could maybe, you know, block it off or something, but that's too big. That is actually pretty darn close. He would never be replaceable, but that's pretty darn close. Oh my goodness. To clip him through a part like that. Look at that. It's always the sixth direction, isn't it? Oops, that's not quite right. That's almost exactly right, though. But I actually think it looks cooler not having that in there. Put a tail connector at the end of the wings. A tail connector at the end of the wings. I'm not exactly picking up what you're putting down there. Spicy sauce is spicy. What was that one? Yeah, we've already got that one. Let me see. Let me look at this one too. Okay, there's two of them. All right. Could you get smaller? Could you get smaller images? Has no skids. It has skids, no wheels. I don't know. Detachable wheels, nice. Those wings have spear-looking things on the end. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Let's do the, what are those, whatever those antenna array things were. And I think this is really all we have. That R2 unit sticks way the heck up there. That's okay. We don't have to be exact. Did I make them stick off at a weird angle? This is actually going to be challenging to get them flat, so I need to go like that. I need to go over, and I need to zoom in on them. It's like the X-Wing with the little shooter gunny things that point off in different directions like that. Let's see here. But remember, they were planet-based. They were planet-based fighters. So they would, in fact, need wings, or wheels, I mean. Because that, you know, secret rebel base and everything. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like that may not be pointing exactly straight, but what are you going to do? Maybe it's okay. We totally need an action group. I wish we had Infernal Robotics to actually make the wings lock into attack positions. The S-foils into attack positions. Is that what it was? Lock the S-foils? That is actually a really sad-looking thing. The long thing. Wait, I missed some stuff in chat. Let's see here. Boosters for lasers. Reverse boosters. Put like engines on the bottom so you can land like the real thing. Like make it STOL. The long thing in aerodynamics. Top right, it would look like one of the pictures. You can use an RTG with an antenna. Okay, lots of good ideas. Maybe we should go for the RTG because that also solves our power generation stuff. I like that. And I've already got those, and as long as I don't replace the parts, we'll be okay. Where's the RTGs? Everybody's always using RTGs as guns, aren't they? That's like the thing. There's the RTG. Let's see how this looks. Alright. Close enough. Honestly, close enough. We don't have... This is like the guy who spent like 4 hours on YouTube trying to model the Raptor. The Viper, actually. The Viper gun, and he would never get happy with the way the guns looked. It's like, dude, just ship it. At some point, we actually want to have this going. The trick is going to be taking this off. What is it? Skids. The X-Wing could hover. They were skids, and the X-Wings could hover. I don't know. We're 5 minutes. Could I make the X-Wing hover in 5 minutes? I don't know, man. I'll give it a try. What's my root node? This. Let's move it up in the air so I can get underneath her for service. And then I switch to the side a little bit. Yes. All right. Now rotate me up some. And then I need to go back like that. All right. So basically we need an engine with high thrust underneath the center of mass, which means I can totally use this structural piece right here. Wait, is this Kerbal Space Academy? We're like totally building an X-Wing fighter in Kerbal Space Academy. Whatever. Alright, turn clear, back on. That's gonna... That's pretty darn close, but we are gonna have to move those fuel lines. I think the good news is we can actually put these further back like that and actually put the fuel lines directly into that, so that should give us more clearance, I think. 2x symmetry, put it on, put it on. That's okay that those fuel lines are a little bit further back. Then we need this to be directly under. I can't look up enough. That's one of the things that really gets on my nerves. But I think this is a trick, isn't it? Yeah, what's up now? Just move it around. The X-Wing is totally a VTOL. We'll see if we get enough thrust from one engine. Because we may... Where's our center of mass? Right there, right? We'll see if we get enough thrust from one engine, one turbojet engine. The basic jet engine will have more thrust on the ground, won't it? 150. The turbojet's 225, but not on the ground. It doesn't. It barely gets any thrust at sea level. That's pointing a little bit too far off. Huh. I mean, I could always clip it back up into it. I wonder if that would work. I mean, clearly when we're in space, that thing sticking down is not going to look exactly right. 2 basic jets for this to hover. All right. Face it, I'm the cool professor at Space Academy. It's like, all right, now that we've completed our actual learning for the evening, let's build a freaking X-Wing. All right, Luis, I will go with 2 of them then. I appreciate that. That means we'll move these guys off and grab. Would it hover on... Because the other ones aren't lower profile by any stretch of the imagination. They're actually higher profile. And there are no other lower profile things that aren't rocket engines, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like there are. Just shut up and launch it! Let me see here. I'm going to need to bracket the center of mass with 2 of these. I'm going to make one, seriously, just touch the center of mass on the bottom, like that. I'm going to make the other one just touch the center of mass on the top. That looks too low. That may not be playing well with us. That doesn't look exactly right. It looks like the bottom one needs to be lower and the top one needs to be further up. But I can always just split the difference, right? And I think that we can use RCS Build Aid to do this. I wish I had something lower profile, but this is what I got. I mean, hey, that is what it is. Let's check RCS Build Aid. What did I just press? I don't even know. Why is... Oh, maybe it would help if I rotated the craft itself. Alright, so we will thrust limit these guys all the way down so RCS Build Aid doesn't look at them. We'll turn on RCS Build Aid. We'll look at not translation but engines. Alright, so that's not quite right. If you're building VTOLs, guys, try the Aerospike. Oh, but that's gonna eat tons of it is gonna be lower profile, isn't it? It's gonna have 2 death spikes sticking out the bottom of the X-Wing. That is definitely lower profile, but it's gonna use oxidizer. It's definitely going to use oxidizer. We're going to have to see... I like that, but we'll try it with the basic jet engines and see. And let me tune this basic jet engine. It says that we have too much thrust in the front. We need more thrust on more of a lever arm in the back, which looks like this. Yes. Outstanding. So now our thrust is going straight down, and we have thrust lift going straight up. That's what we wanted. They use less... What would you get there, Luis? They use less fuel. Alright, that's good. Make it lift off like a rocket. Nah. No thrust. Oh, yeah. Override has an extra point. Cry havoc and let slip the X-Wing of minor conflict. Because I'm going to totally transmit science at you with my science antennas of attack. What will I need in the front? I don't know. Could I do a landing gear like one of those? Oh, that would be freaking awesome. Are the little landing gear going to be long enough, though? We'll have to see. We'll totally just land it on the wings. Let's extend that and see how far down it sticks. That's pathetic, honestly. I could put it on here. That's less pathetic. I wonder if it will stand up on that, though. Plus, I kind of think I remember the skid going forward, not backwards like that. But that's not going to work. And that's clearly not going to work. And clipping the landing gear... What did... Okay. Yeah, whenever we retract it, that won't look good. That won't look good at all. So let's reset it, and let's put it... We'll just put it back like that. And see if it'll actually land like that. Or we could do like a tripod on the front, like a V... in either directions, rotating. I could have rotated it down, but I don't think that it would have looked quite right. Or I could just put it on the nose like this and point it down, right? Or could I? Like that? That's the dumbest looking X-Wing ever, honestly. Need SAS, needs so much SAS that it can just stay up. Alright, apparently putting that landing gear up there has definitely changed our vectoring back here. Let's go back and fix it again. And I almost feel like maybe in the back I want one more... Oh, I better put this fuel line in before I forget. I almost feel like I want one more... Is this going to fit? I think it's going to fit, right? Yes, excellent. I feel like I want one more SAS module back there, so I am going to put another SAS module in. And then we're going to see how this thing flies. And let's put it... Actually, I like the dot in the middle of that. Look, that's actually going to dress up this a little bit. That's actually really freaking close. That's pretty darn cool. Kerbal Space Program, so freaking cool. Let's